Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Lainne Patterson, a fellow Canadian. How are you, Lainne?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Yeah, I was asking her, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Leanne? But she said Lainne. So pretty.
Lainne Patterson is my given name, and I am otherwise known as Lainne Love on many social platforms. So they're interchangeable. I am a dynamic human being.
Yes, you are. That's awesome. Where in Canada are you?
I am in Toronto,
Oh,
the East
nice.
Coast. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So can you start by telling us who you are and what you do?
Yes, I would love to do that.
Mhm.
I am Lainne Love or Lainne Patterson, and I am an award-winning spiritual psychology coach. I am a best-selling author, and I am a mama. That's one of my favorite, or probably the favorite title
Yeah.
that I have is mama.
Mhm.
And I love working with people who are looking to become the best version of themselves possible so that they can live into their bigger mission and help leave their legacy of love, because each of us are so important.
Mm.
And when we are our greatest version of ourselves, we give everybody else permission to do that, but we also start to awaken the next
Yeah.
steps within other people. So if you're meant to do something, and if by
Mm.
you doing that, that allows, five people behind you to be able to do what it is that they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
you start to see the importance of the individual.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Would you say that you always wanted to do the work that you're doing right now?
No, God, no.
Yeah, what happened?
No. I started off wanting to be like a white coat, be respectable um and uh and consistent, but I took that path. I studied science in university, and I didn't find the answers that I wanted or that I was looking for. University wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more regurgitation, and I thought it would be more expansive thought.
Mm.
I romanticized, back in the day when you'd walk around together as a class
Mhm.
and discuss thoughts, and it was really open, like your perspective or your ideas. People were open to that,
Mhm.
and so I was disappointed by the regurgitation part.
Yeah.
And which isn't to say that there wasn't some valuable things there, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Mm.
And I was more interested in like the why, not the diagnosis, because a
Yeah.
diagnosis is really just like a group of words
Mhm.
that are pooled together to try to describe something. But the why, what happened to get to the point where we're trying to group a pool of words together to describe something, and how do we get to being able to navigate that part? And so that sent me on an alternative path,
Yeah.
and I've studied with a lot of different world-renowned teachers, and I've studied several different modalities, and put it all together through my lens to discern from my perspective what are the most effective modalities and tools that we have, or that I have
Mm.
found.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And you're a spiritual psychologist. Is that
Yes,
correct? Yeah.
spiritual
Yeah.
psychology.
I've never heard of those two words next to each other that way.
It's a thing. It is a
Oh,
thing.
wow. Wow. Tell us more. What do you do? What's your approach and how do you help your clients?
Yeah. So the approach is like multifaceted and
Mm.
multi-layered, but really, and then not all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, going back to all the different modalities that I've studied, I found that there's a common denominator.
Mhm.
So say, let's just use like sound therapy and color therapy as an example. Well, they're kind of actually the same thing in that they're just a different expression of like the vibration.
Mhm.
And we all are different people. So some people are really, really drawn to more auditory stimulation, and some people are more drawn to uh,
Mhm.
visual perspectives or stimulation, and both are correct. They
Yeah.
both work. It's just a unique expression of that vibration in different forms. And
Mhm.
so that's what I started to discover with all of the different tools and modalities that I was studying, was that everything works.
Mhm.
It's just mostly a different expression of the same thing. So it's a different way for us to get there. And
Mhm.
that's all based on whatever resonates with that particular individual.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. How has your spirituality changed your lives?
Oh,
Whether it's people
hugely.
around you and
Yeah.
personally. Yeah.
Immensely. Because we are spirit. We really can't escape it, whether or not we think about it, we believe in it or not. From my perspective, that's definitely the truth of who and what we are, as we are spiritual beings, and
Mhm.
we're having this experience here, and we are all interconnected.
Mhm.
And it matters how we are, and it matters how we show up in the world, and it matters how we treat other people. It also helps in when you're going through really challenging times, like knowing and believing that there is more and that connected to more. It also adds to frustration, or at least it has for me. And that,
Mhm.
why aren't you helping me? You said, leap and the net will appear. And I leaped and I fell on my face. And, I'm praying and
Yeah.
I'm asking for help and I don't see help. There's definitely moments of
Mhm.
that frustration and the doubt and not being faithful and
Mhm.
not being in trust. And then
Mhm.
it's just an opportunity to reflect more on that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
okay, what's here for me? What's here for me? And the more that I make a being having spiritual practices, but also just living life from a spiritual context. And I believe that that means that I'm conscious about how I show up. I'm
Mhm.
conscious about my actions and my behavior and my energy.
Yeah.
That makes a really big difference in what I know to be possible for me, and also the impact that I have in my life and in the lives of others.
Mhm. My throat keeps doing this thing when I'm
Me
doing
too.
interviews. And I had an interview yesterday. She does energy and everything. So as she was talking, I feel like flame or
Ah,
something's in my throat. And she was
me
saying that,
too.
yeah, she was saying that's different consciousness that's rising and things that are surfacing as people are talking or as I'm talking, that's coming through. I don't know why it happens, but it does. Yeah, yeah, sorry. So what does spirituality means to you? Do you combine Western and other religion to your spirituality?
Well, I mean, religion isn't necessarily a part of spirituality, at least not for
Mhm.
me. It's a way in which people can commune with a
Mhm.
spirit or with deities. So there's like
Mhm.
it's a container, and why is it a container? Because there are some rules, there's some guidelines, there's some regulation there.
Mhm.
And there's some beautiful things in all the religions, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know all of them, but I am familiar with several of them, and there's definitely beauty there and their lessons. But
Mhm.
I prefer to be as container free as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, I am in a container in that I am a part of the universe, and there are universal laws,
Mhm.
and we all get to abide by those. But I don't believe that I need to be in a particular building at
Yeah.
a particular day or time in order to connect with the divine. And I don't believe that I'm separate.
Yeah.
I believe that I am divine, and that we are all divine in everything from this
Mhm.
table.
Yeah.
is divine in that everything has consciousness and there's a responsibility in how I interact with those things. And I aspire to be as conscious of that as possible.
Yeah.
I don't do it all day, every day. I
Mhm.
try to. I try to, because the more that I do, the more I'm aware of that.
Mhm.
A really great teacher, Dr. Hulen, who with Dr. Joe Vitale brought Ho'oponopono to
Mhm.
the masses. I mean,
Yeah.
he really spoke a lot about that, our responsibility for showing up in every aspect, in every way.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with that and take that to heart.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Can you debunk some myths when it comes to hypnotherapy?
Well, I think one of the biggest myths is that, like, if that you're going to be mind controlled and be made to do things that you don't want to do. If that was the case, every hypnotherapist would be really, really rich, because they'd probably go like straight for your, and the code to your bank account is what?
Yeah.
And that's not the case. I mean, we're in and out of a state of hypnosis all the time. I think, like, think about, when you get in your car. This is used as an example a lot, but
Mhm.
it's a state of suggestion, or it's a state of hypnosis is also like being in your car and getting from one
Mhm.
space to another. Like, how did I
Yeah.
get there? You
Yeah.
got there. You weren't fully present, in that you weren't consciously aware necessarily of how you got there. But you weren't asleep, right? Because you didn't crash into anything. So
Yeah.
it's a good example of that state. So you're not,
Mm.
nobody could make you do anything in that state, and yet you're aware that, oh, wait a minute, where did I go for a second?
Yes.
So yeah, I love that example, because it's a really, really good one. So
Mhm.
that's where you are. So nobody can make you do anything that you don't want to do.
Mhm.
And we have those wonderful, wonderful entertainers. There's, yeah, people that use hypnosis for different things.
Mhm.
I love them. Gosh, they're so powerful and they do really cool things. But
Yeah.
when you're going more for a form of therapeutic hypnotherapy, it's not going to look like that. I mean, that could be fun. Like,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
might want
Yeah.
to try that, actually. But now that I think about it, that could be a lot of fun, but that's not what it is.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Share with us your journey of becoming an author. What was your process of writing, and what is your book about? Is it one book or more?
I have 2 books,
Two
well, kinda
books.
kinda 3, but two that are finished and published.
Oh, okay.
The first one is How to Use Hypnosis to Master Your Brain. It's a wonderful introductory, like, how-to guide.
Mm,
And my second book that came out this year was a collaborative, experience, all, authored by the 12 of us.
mhm,
And it is called A Bigger Mission. And in it, every author shares a story about a traumatic incident that they experienced in their life and how it is that they overcame it. It's a very beautiful book, very powerful, very raw.
mm,
It's a bestseller. It's got a lot of great reviews, and the workbook is coming out, and the audiobook is coming out as well this year. And how do you do that? The process? Well, it only took me like, I think 12, 15 years
Ooh,
to complete my first book. So
wow,
the
wow,
process is, you just got to get it done. I
mm,
think there is some divine timing involved there, as
mhm,
I was in the process of knowing that I wanted to write a book for many, many years. And it
mhm,
was just never complete. It never felt like the right time.
mhm,
So, but if you want to get a book done, the steps are relatively simple. It's just
mhm.
sitting yourself down to get them done.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It must be a really, really, really good book because it's not the time that you put into it, it's the love. And I feel that you have
yeah,
poured so much into it. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, they're both really, really great books.
Mhm.
and I do feel really, really proud of them. And
Yeah.
they fulfilled the purpose that I meant to offer value in the world. And definitely the feedback is that that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Where can people find your book at? Or books?
Books on Amazon, amazon.com. Again, if we're going
Mhm.
back to that, the or.ca or wherever you are in the world,
Yeah.
you can find it on Amazon. But going back to the process of how do you become an author? How do you write a book? It's never been easier in that the tools are available to you. When I started like 12, 15 years ago, um, it wasn't as it is now. Like still then I would have had to have pre-ordered like 10,000 copies of my book from a publisher. And now that big hurdle has been removed from you being
Mhm.
able to become a published author, in
Yeah.
that Amazon offers you the possibility of being able to print on demand, which is
Mm.
absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So they make the process really, really easy for you to begin your career or fulfill your dream of
Mhm.
becoming a published author. So the excuses have been removed. All you have to do is write the book and upload it and
Yeah.
Shazammy. And then after that, there's a lot of other steps. But if
Mhm.
the first hurdle is just getting it done, they
Mhm.
have made the process as easy as it's ever been.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about self-mastery. Tell us more about that.
Self mastery is just a moment to moment, day to day practice
Mm.
where it's always you against you. I'm sure everybody's heard that.
Mhm.
It's you against you every day. It's you against you every moment. So
Mm.
the more that you practice overcoming yourself and not
Mhm.
listening to the little voices inside of you that are telling you, oh, you're too tired. Don't do this. It's too hard. It's the economy. That's not my time. I wasn't
Mhm.
born with that, or poor me, or whatever that inner voice is. I know I've had
Yeah.
a lot of those ones that I just said myself. I'm not
Mm.
free of that voice, but I practice overcoming it
Mhm.
uh, moments to moment, day to day. Sometimes I give in. I'm like, "Ah, today I just want to feel sorry for myself, so I'm going to."
Mhm.
Um, but that doesn't last a day anymore. It doesn't even really last a couple of hours. Sometimes it lasts a couple of minutes, and then I'm like, this is not as fulfilling as I thought it was going to be. It actually
Yeah.
doesn't feel good at all. So that's the practice of mastery for me, is that moment to moment overcoming yourself
Yeah.
and really being the person, the one that's in charge of you and your body. I mean, David Goggins is certainly an inspiration for me.
Mhm.
He has a wonderful sense of self mastery, especially over his physical body, which is super fascinating. And I definitely don't aspire to do what he does. And what he does is not lost on me just because I don't aspire to do the same things. I get the message, I get the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about conscious parenting. You mentioned that you have a neurodivergent son.
I
What does
do.
that mean?
Well, it means, yeah, well, going back to the beginning of the conversation when we said they take a group of symptoms and they
Mm.
group it together and they call it this, right? And
Oh,
those things can definitely be helpful
yeah.
when we're trying to communicate to others
Mm.
something that we're experiencing. Sure, those diagnoses or labels can be helpful, but they can also be limiting. But what does that mean for me? It
Mhm.
means that I've visited many different specialists and doctors and
Mhm.
professionals that are have experienced my son developing and acting in ways that are outside of the norm,
Mm.
and definitely caused a lot of challenges for me and for him and the people that were around him.
Mhm.
And so he has been diagnosed. He was considered on the spectrum, like ADD, different learning disabilities, and some other things that honestly I don't even pay that much attention to anymore.
Hmm.
Because again, as I just said, labels can be helpful, but they can also be limiting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah. I don't like labels. I know they're there to it's a form of communication.
Yes, it's helpful. It
Yeah.
definitely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if my son is perceived to be acting a certain way, it is helpful for other people to be able to understand if I can say, oh, my son is neurodivergent. Oh, okay. Got it.
Hmm.
And then they can access that compassion in
Yeah.
their hearts and their brains because there's an explanation for the behavior. So in that way, it's definitely helpful. But
Hmm.
yeah, as I continue to grow and heal, my son does too, and I'm seeing what would be the cause of that diagnosis to be eliminated, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I am a firsthand experience that those labels can shift as you continue to heal and grow.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What would you say to other parents who have gone or continue to go through the experiences that you've been through?
This is a hard one. It's a hard one, but it's the honest one, is you got to look at yourself. I
Mm,
had to look at myself. I had to look at the circumstances. I had to look at my inner dialogue,
mhm,
my energy,
mhm.
the words that I was using,
Yeah.
the routine that I was providing or not, whether or not I was actually listening to the cues that my son was giving me. Like, say, I wanted to take him out somewhere like a parade. Like, oh, well, this is for him, it's for me, we both get out. But I'm noticing in his feedback that it's not a good environment for him.
Mhm,
But I want to be there, so I'm not really listening. And then I get frustrated with his behavior.
mm,
See, that's something that we parents do a lot. At least I'll speak for myself. It's something that I definitely experienced a
yeah.
lot where I would want to do something and it would be for me and for my son. And
Mhm,
I wasn't listening to the feedback, right?
mm,
Because that's my job as a parent. My job is as a parent is to listen to what my child is telling me and respond
mhm,
to that, not go in from my own desires and expectations. It's not really what it means to
mm,
be a parent. So
yeah.
my job is to protect and to nurture my child and to look at what it is that they're telling me, especially when they're young and they can't do those things for themselves.
Mhm,
And again, going back to that inner dialogue, a lot of my inner dialogue with my son was judgment and frustration
mm,
instead of like loving. And as soon as, honestly, it was really mostly that simple. As soon as I started changing my inner dialogue from, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so stressed out. Why are you doing this?
mm,
Um, to just, I love you. I
mm,
love you. I love you. And I'll like internal dialogue. I love you. I love you. I love you. As soon as I noticed
mhm,
that inner dialogue coming up, really his behavior started to shift and his relationship to me started to shift and
mhm,
my relationship to him started to shift.
mhm.
And a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
healing was
awesome.
created.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you use this word listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, listen. I grew up with a very military kind of parents. I felt small that my voice didn't matter, my opinions or
Mhm.
desires didn't matter. So for you to be giving him that gift, it's a blessing. It's an honor to do that. Yeah, yeah.
It is, and it's my job. I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
a lot of us we forget that that's our job. Like that's what comes with the territory. You signed up to be a parent.
Mhm.
Okay, well, you got to do the thing that parents are supposed to do, and that's
Mhm.
you have to show up for your child.
Mhm. Yeah, and they don't come with a manual.
No, they
Yeah,
don't.
they
But you
don't.
know what? They kind of do. In that, going back to what you just pointed out, if you
Mhm.
listen,
Mhm.
if you listen, if you're not on your own agenda,
Yeah.
if you're actually listening to who they are and
Mhm.
what their unique individual expression and needs are, it requires time and patience and effort. And again, I'll say, and yeah, that's the job. So it's like, can't really complain about it because that's what I signed up for, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I know that you wanted to talk about unleashing your potentials.
Yeah, what does that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
What does
tell
that
me more.
mean? As we're talking about like the podcast, like
Yeah,
an Unleashing Potentials podcast. So
yeah.
what does that mean? I love thinking about that and exploring that and like
Mhm.
leaning into that because it's really going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about being here and now
Mhm.
and knowing that we are all special.
Yeah.
And we're all unique and we're all here for a reason and a
Mhm.
purpose, and that there's never been another you. There never will be another you.
Yeah.
You are a one of a kind wonder. And
Mm.
so, what is that? What is your unique potential? What
Mhm.
are you here to unleash? And then,
Mhm.
how do you do that? So that I think is the journey that we're all on. Is
Yeah.
that feeling that we have inside that ah, like there's got to be something more. This
Mhm.
can't be it. There's got to be
Mhm.
something more. I know I'm here for more than this.
Yeah.
What's that? What's that inside of you? And are you listening to that?
Mhm.
And are you taking steps to uncover what that is? Because
Mhm.
everybody's potential is really different. And how wonderful
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we're not in competition, we're in collaboration.
Mhm. Yeah. How do you continue to unleash your potential every day?
You work. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of work. That's the most people, most people, unfortunately, in our culture,
Mhm.
we're like, oh, we push the button and then it's done. And then we think that that also applies to us. And maybe
Yeah.
it does. Maybe it's easier than we know that it is. And
Mhm.
it takes time. It takes time and effort and practice and a day-to-day commitment.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's how you do it, is you literally have to be working at it and on it every day.
Mhm.
And you have to put in the effort and you have to do the hard things and you have to do the things I don't want to do because I don't feel like it, at least most
Mhm.
of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't feel like it's going to win, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And that's okay. It's just that making that be the thing that wins the least often.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you'd like to share with me and my audience?
I think that we covered quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, time flies.
It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see what else. Because you have some amazing stuff that you're doing. Are you willing to tell us more about your third book? Or would it be
Well, my
sharing too
third book
much?
is my first book, actually. So it's the one that started it
Oh.
all. And that is There is Magic, but No Magic Pill.
Mm-hmm.
And that is more of a personal story about like me and my journey in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
as I was uh, completing that book, I realized, oh my goodness, there's
Mm-hmm.
so much to know and learn about completing a book. You don't just complete your book.
Yeah.
After that, there's a whole other set of skills and steps and things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And because this was a personal project, a personal thing, I didn't want to be learning with that content, with that particular book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it to be something different that wasn't an intimate story of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I decided, okay, well, oh, great. I'll do the How to Use Hypnosis to Master Your Brain. That is a great subject. It's not so personal. I can learn, I can put something out into the world that has a lot of value that I'm really proud of, and then learn as I go with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. You're also a CEO. Do you have a
Yes.
company? Tell me more about that.
You get to be CEO of your life and your business when you are running a business.
Yeah.
think it's really, really important to know yourself as
Hmm.
that you are running a business,
Yeah.
that what it is that you are doing is a business. So you have to have structure and policies and procedures and vision. You have to know where you're going so you operate yourself in your life
Hmm.
as you're a CEO. When you're working with clients, when you're working with employees, when you're whatever it is that you're doing, you get to operate from that standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does your clients look like? Do you work with everybody, men, women, families? Who do you work with?
Yeah, I think that the characteristics or qualities that weave the different people that come together is really more like what it is they're desiring from the inside out. Because like typically, yes, there are men, there are women, uh, varying age group, but they're all professionals. They've all done some work in the past, and they all have this a sense that they're ready to get to like the next level. So they're looking for like the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do I overcome this hurdle? I've done all these things and I'm still meeting this hurdle. So what's the next thing?
Hmm.
And I really like helping to move people through that, so helping them to rewire their brain
Hmm. Yeah.
so that they can overcome those patterns and start to create whatever the next thing is in their life. And for the most part, they're people that are really looking to innovate and contribute something big to humanity, leave
Yeah.
their legacy of love.
Mm. Yeah. Let's talk about legacy of love.
Mhm.
I love love. Let's talk about love.
Love, love, love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does
Oh,
that mean to you?
a legacy of love?
Hmm.
To me, that really means what we started the conversation with.
Mm.
And that is being really responsible with how and who you are and what is the impact and imprint that you are leaving
Hmm.
within every interaction, within every room, within every moment of your life. That is how you leave your legacy of love, but on a bigger scale.
Hmm.
If we're talking about like a global contribution or community contribution,
Hmm.
well, that is birthed from that practice of really being conscious about the impact that you're making and how you're showing up in everybody's life, because your legacy of love can end up being way bigger than
Hmm.
you ever imagined,
Hmm.
just by the nature of how it is that you are in every moment and how you are in every interaction. The person that you could impact along your way of creating the innovation that you're wanting to contribute
Hmm.
to humanity. Your impact could be what leads or inspires the next person to create something that will ultimately shift the way that we are developing. You just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I have 3 questions for you as we wrap up. That was my first question. The first question is, what do you want my guests to get out of this amazing episode?
Well, I can't really pick that for you, but I just show up to
Yeah.
provide, to share whatever knowledge or wisdom that I've accumulated along the way, and
Hmm.
hope that that helps you in whatever capacity that you're needing or wanting it to.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Second question, what is the meaning of life for you?
Oh gosh, that shifts, I think, but ultimately it's to evolve and expand.
Mm, very good answers. I love that. Last question, where can my listeners buy your books? Where can they work with you and find you?
You can find me, I'm really lucky, at Lainne.com, Lainne, so my name.com, or Lainne Love on social media, and sometimes also Lainne Patterson, but Lainne is Lainne.
Mhm.
.com is the easiest place to find me, and you can find my books on Amazon.
That's awesome. Well, Lainey, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all you do and keep inspiring. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a beautiful day.
You too.